Welcome to the All Time Stories channel. In today's episode, Harakiri ritual murder in Japan. Our Earth is inhabited by very interesting people with their rites, customs and rituals that can shock residents of other countries. For example, Harakiri is a ritual suicide in Japan by cutting open one's abdomen. The Japanese anciently believed that the stomach is the most important part of the human body. This concept was formed by merging two words, hara, which means belly, and kiri, which means cut. There is also an alternative name, seppuku. In ancient Japan, the rite of harakiri was not a mass phenomenon and was common among warriors who resorted to harakiri, not wanting to surrender. The samurai also believed that harakiri would save them from shame and help make amends to their master for losing in battle. There were cases when 100 people at a time ripped open their stomachs. Usually, immediately after ripping open his stomach, the samurai cut his own throat with the same dagger to suffer less. There are known cases when warriors disfigured their faces before harakiri. This was done so that the enemy could not take their heads and show them to his master, as proof of his courage and combat skill. Since the 10th century, the number of people who committed harakiri and died from their swords has been increasing. Abdominal wounds were the most painful, so women were allowed to simply cut their throats. In Japan at that time, they believed in life after death and did not entirely value earthly things. Moreover, some Japanese teachings extolled the cult of death, saying that those who performed the harakiri ritual would be exalted not only among the survivors but also in all other lives. After death, they tried to create for the deceased all the conditions for a prosperous afterlife. If a rich man died, then not only luxury and household items were placed in the grave, but also his living servants and assistants, so that they would serve their master in another life. Later, for humane purposes, the unfortunates were allowed to make harakiri for themselves at the grave of their owner. This kind of harakiri is called sabara, the following suicide. Some Japanese rulers tried to ban such ritual killings of servants, proposing that human-sized figures made of clay and ceramics be placed in graves. But sabara became firmly entrenched in Japanese life and it was not possible to eradicate this tradition. Samurai did not value their life. They believed that it belonged entirely to their master. Sometimes, at the funeral of a rich master, up to 30 servants made themselves a sabara. In the history of Japan, when following the master, not only his vassals passed away, but also nobles who did not want to live without the ruler. Also, the master could order the servant to commit harakiri if he committed some kind of offense or could not fulfill the master's order. Harakiri was also carried out in other cases when the honor of the samurai was affected or in the name of some idea. In short, if a samurai found himself in some kind of dead-end situation, then harakiri became the solution to the problem. Sometimes the reasons for suicide were the stupidest. There is a known case when two samurais on the steppes accidentally touched each other with swords, word for word, and both committed harakiri. There were special schools that taught samurais to do harakiri because it was important to do it correctly, so that those around them could see all the guts that had fallen out. It was believed that this showed the purity of the samurai's thoughts. The abdomen was cut twice. First, a horizontal incision was made and then a vertical one. The incision should be as large as possible so that there was no chance of survival. It was also possible to make a crosswise incision. Later, the procedure was simplified. It was enough to just stick the sword in the stomach and lean on it with your whole body. In the Middle Ages, it was generally accepted that a person committed harakiri to show the depth of grief that befell him or to defend someone's honor. And when committing harakiri, a close friend had to be present, who then cut the suicider's throat, thereby ending his torment. Harakiri was officially banned in 1868, but they continued to be committed in real life. During World War II, Japanese kamikaze suicide pilots made it for themselves. They destroyed themselves for the sake of their homeland.